Life moves forward with or without us. Each morning the sun rises, yet many of us remain trapped in hesitation, dread, or distraction. The Stoics believed the first battle of the day was not against the world, but against ourselves. To rise, to claim the day, to stand firm, this, they said, was the first victory. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, began many mornings by reminding himself, "Today I will meet arrogance, selfishness, and deceit." He did not say this to complain, but to prepare. The Stoic prepares his mind not for comfort, but for reality. Because when you expect life to be easy, every difficulty breaks you. But when you expect difficulty, you walk through hardship with calm. Epictetus, once a slave, taught his students that true freedom lies not in chains being broken, but in the mind refusing to be chained. He had no control over his early life, yet he mastered the one domain that no one could take from him: his thoughts. "It's not what happens to you," he said, "but how you react to it that matters." At the foundation of Stoicism lies the division between what we control and what we cannot. This single distinction, simple yet profound, holds the power to transform life. We cannot command the weather, the markets, the opinions of strangers, or the outcomes of fate. But we do command our choices, our discipline, our perspective, our responses. And that is where true freedom lives. Think of how much suffering is born from trying to control the uncontrollable. We rage at traffic, though rage will not clear the road. We obsess over how others see us, though their judgments are beyond our grasp. We demand the world bend to our desires, though the world does not answer to us. The Stoic path teaches us to release this burden, to let go of what is not ours, and to focus fiercely on what is. For the Stoics, virtue was the highest pursuit, higher than wealth, pleasure, or reputation. Virtue was not empty morality, but the practice of four living principles: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. To see clearly, to act bravely, to treat others fairly, and to master desire before it masters you. These were not theories, they were shields against chaos. Wisdom allows us to cut through illusion. Courage allows us to face fear without surrender. Justice reminds us we belong to humanity, not just ourselves. Temperance disciplines us against excess. In these four virtues lies the architecture of a life that cannot be destroyed by fortune's storms. The Stoic does not seek comfort, he seeks strength, because strength endures when comfort fails. Let us pause on wisdom, the first virtue. To the Stoics, wisdom was not about gathering endless facts or quoting clever phrases. It was about seeing life as it truly is, stripped of illusions. Most people live in shadows, chasing desires or fearing outcomes that may never arrive. Wisdom is the ability to step back, to see an insult as mere words, to see loss as part of nature, to see time not as infinite, but as fleeting. When you see clearly, you stop wasting energy on illusions. Courage, too, is often misunderstood. Many believe courage means never feeling fear. But fear is natural. It is the body's alarm system. The Stoics taught that true courage is to act rightly despite fear. A soldier who trembles yet still defends his post. A mother who works tirelessly despite exhaustion. A student who faces uncertainty but does not give up. This is courage. Epictetus challenged his students with a question: how long will you wait before you demand the best of yourself? Courage begins where excuses end. Justice, the third pillar, is the recognition that we do not live for ourselves alone. Marcus Aurelius wrote often that all men are brothers, threads woven into the same cloth of humanity. To harm another is to harm yourself, because the health of the whole depends on the justice of its parts. The Stoic does not use virtue for personal gain, he uses it to serve the community. Power without justice, they said, is corruption. Justice without action is emptiness. Temperance is the quiet strength we often overlook, the ability to say enough in a world that tempts us with excess at every turn. How many lives collapse under the weight of indulgence, overeating, overspending, overindulging in pleasure, ambition, or pride? The Stoic sees indulgence not as freedom, but as slavery. To practice temperance is to remain the master of your life instead of handing it over to craving. Philosophy, however, was never meant to remain in books. The Stoics demanded practice. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal each morning and night, not for fame, but to sharpen his soul. Seneca ended his days with self-examination. What weakness did I conquer? Where did I fall? What virtue did I practice? In their discipline, they turned words into living armor. One of their most powerful practices was negative visualization, the act of imagining loss before it came, to hold your child and imagine their absence, to enjoy health and imagine sickness, to sit in wealth and imagine poverty. This was not despair, but gratitude. By rehearsing loss in the mind, they strengthened themselves for the day loss would arrive. And when fortune was kind, they cherished every gift more deeply, knowing it was never guaranteed. To the Stoic, death itself was no enemy. Marcus wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Far from dark, this reminder was meant to awaken. When you truly remember mortality, you stop wasting time in trivial anger and shallow pursuits, in endless procrastination. You begin to live urgently, purposefully, gratefully. For the Stoic, to remember death was to remember life. Most of us spend life running from adversity. We pray for ease, beg for comfort, and curse hardship. But the Stoics turned this thinking upside down. They believed adversity is not an obstacle, but a teacher. Fire tests gold, trials test the soul. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." The Stoic does not ask for a lighter burden, he asks for stronger shoulders. Epictetus himself was proof of this. Crippled in body, born into slavery, deprived of comforts, yet his mind stood freer than most kings. His circumstances could have destroyed him, but instead they carved him into one of history's greatest teachers. From him we learn, suffering does not define you, but your response to it does. Imagine how powerful life becomes when hardship no longer terrifies you. Failure does not end you, it sharpens you. Insults do not wound you, they reveal the weakness of the speaker. Loss does not break you, it awakens gratitude for what remains. This is the Stoic's shield, to walk through life unshaken, because you know nothing external can truly harm the soul. Does this mean the Stoic feels no emotion? Not at all. He feels grief, love, anger, joy, but he refuses to be ruled by them. Emotion may knock at his door, but it does not seize his throne. The Stoic acknowledges feeling, then asks, does this serve my virtue? Does this serve my reason? In this way, he is never a slave to what he feels. In today's world, Stoicism is not just relevant, it is essential. We live in an age of endless distraction. Social media tempts us to envy, comparing our behind the scenes to someone else's highlights. News floods us with fear, convincing us that disaster is always one step away. Advertisements whisper that happiness is just one purchase away. In this storm of noise, Stoicism offers silence, clarity, and peace. Apply the Stoic lens to your daily life. When insulted, ask, does this touch my virtue? If not, it cannot harm me. When frustrated by obstacles, ask, is this in my control? If yes, act with courage. If not, release it. When tempted by pleasure, ask, will this make me stronger or weaker? In these small questions, the Stoic carves out freedom. Leadership itself demands Stoic discipline. A Stoic leader does not crumble in crisis, does not lash out in anger, and does not boast in victory. He carries responsibility like armor. Marcus Aurelius commanded armies, ruled millions, yet still reminded himself each day, you are but a man. Rule without arrogance, live without pride, and act with justice. True leadership, the Stoics remind us, is measured not by power, but by character. But Stoicism is not only for emperors and philosophers. It belongs to everyone, to the mother raising children with patience, to the worker enduring hardship with dignity, to the student facing uncertainty with courage. Stoicism is not a philosophy for the elite. It is a discipline for every human being who seeks strength. Stoicism reminds us that while the soul is sovereign, we are not meant to live in isolation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, we are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids. The Stoic sees himself as part of a greater body, humanity. To injure another is to injure oneself, for we are threads woven into the same fabric of existence. This perspective transforms anger into patience and hatred into compassion. Gratitude is another pillar of Stoic living. The Stoic wakes each morning not demanding more from life, but thanking life for what it has already given. The warmth of the sun, the breath in the lungs, the chance to act with virtue today. These are treasures. Seneca advised us, he is most powerful who has the least need. Gratitude, then, is not passive. It is power, for it makes the poorest man rich in spirit. One of the Stoic practices often overlooked is journaling. Marcus Aurelius' meditations were nothing more than private notes to himself, never meant to be published. Each night he reflected, where did I act in line with virtue? Where did I fail? How can I do better tomorrow? In this ritual of honest self-examination, he strengthened his soul. We too can build this practice, not to impress others, but to refine ourselves. The Stoic does not chase immortality through monuments or fame. He knows both will fade, just as all empires fade. Instead, he seeks to live well in the present moment, for to live rightly now is to have lived a complete life. Even if death comes tomorrow, the Stoic says, I have lived, I have acted with reason, I have walked with virtue. That is enough. Modern culture often tells us to seek more possessions, more recognition, more pleasure. The Stoic whispers the opposite. Seek less, but seek better. Fewer distractions, deeper wisdom. Fewer desires, greater peace. Fewer fears, stronger courage. In this subtraction lies addition, for by letting go of the unnecessary, we discover the essence of life. Stoicism is not a one-time revelation, but a lifelong discipline. The storms of life do not stop. Loss, insult, failure, uncertainty will always return. But with each storm, the Stoic grows stronger, like a tree whose roots deepen with every wind. Discipline becomes habit, habit becomes character, and character becomes destiny. In the end, Stoicism offers no easy escape. It does not promise luxury, fame, or unbroken joy. What it offers is greater: the ability to face life as it is, without fear, without illusion, without surrender. To live with calm courage, to die without regret. This is the Stoic's gift. And so, the invitation stands. Each of us can begin today. Reflect each morning. Guard your reason. Tame your desires. Embrace hardship as teacher. Practice gratitude. Lead with justice. End each night with reflection. Day by day, breath by breath, you carve yourself into a soul unshaken by the world. This is not ancient history. This is living philosophy. This is the Stoic way. In today's age of technology and noise, Stoicism is more relevant than ever. Social media demands our attention. News cycles fuel fear. Advertisements feed desire. Yet, Epictetus would remind us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The Stoic turns the digital storm into practice, using distractions to train focus and false desires to strengthen contentment. Consider failure in business or career. Most people collapse under its weight, believing failure defines them. The Stoic, however, welcomes failure as a teacher. Marcus Aurelius failed in wars, in politics, even in personal relationships. Yet he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." To the Stoic, every failure is raw material for growth. Relationships, too, are trials for the Stoic. Love is not clinging possession, but virtuous affection. Friendship is not flattery, but honesty. And when loss comes, as it surely will, the Stoic grieves but does not despair. For he knows, as Seneca wrote, what need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. Loss is not unfair. It is simply part of the bargain of being alive. Think of wealth. The world teaches us to chase it endlessly, but Stoicism redefines wealth as freedom. If riches come, use them well. If they do not, remain content. Epictetus was once a slave, yet was freer than many kings, for he mastered himself. The true chains are not on the wrists but on the mind, enslaved by greed. Anger is another test. In a world quick to outrage, the Stoic holds his calm. Seneca called anger temporary madness, a fire that burns the one who carries it more than the one who receives it. The Stoic chooses response over reaction, reason over rage. To win the battle against anger is to win the deepest victory over oneself. Death, the shadow always present. Most flee from the thought of it, distracting themselves with endless activity. The Stoic confronts it daily, whispering memento mori, remember, you must die. This is not despair, but liberation. For when death loses its sting, life gains its sweetness. Each sunrise becomes a gift, each conversation a treasure, each moment a miracle. Imagine walking into tomorrow with a Stoic heart. Insults no longer cut you, because you see them as mere noise. Misfortune no longer breaks you, because you see it as training. Desires no longer enslave you, because you have chosen freedom. In this way, you walk as a fortress of peace amidst the chaos of the world. And perhaps the greatest lesson, Stoicism is not for the extraordinary, but for the ordinary. It is for the student facing exams, the parent raising children, the worker striving honestly, the leader under pressure. Wherever there is struggle, Stoicism applies. Its wisdom is timeless because human struggle is timeless. To live stoically is not to become cold or detached. It is to live fully, fiercely, with clarity. To love deeply but without chains. To face pain but without despair. To meet success but without arrogance. To die when the time comes but without fear. The Stoic way is not about changing the world outside you. It is about mastering the world within you. For the storms will always come, but with Stoicism, you carry a shield that no storm can shatter. And that shield, forged in reason, virtue, and courage, will serve you for life. In the modern workplace, pressure is constant. Deadlines, competition, uncertainty about the future. Most people crumble, but the Stoic thrives here. Why? Because he knows that his worth is not defined by titles or applause, but by his integrity. A failed project cannot touch his soul. An unjust boss cannot break his will. His control lies not in outcomes, but in effort, and so he works with freedom. Consider the chaos of family life. Arguments, disappointments, responsibilities. The Stoic approaches family as a sacred duty, not a burden. Children test patience, spouses test tolerance, relatives test forgiveness. Instead of reacting with frustration, the Stoic sees every challenge as practice for virtue. What better place to train patience than in the home, where love and conflict intertwine? Modern culture idolizes fame. Millions chase recognition, desperate for likes, followers, applause. The Stoic, however, sees fame as a fragile illusion. Today's hero becomes tomorrow's forgotten name. Marcus Aurelius himself, ruler of the Roman Empire, wrote, "Consider how quickly all things are forgotten. If an emperor's glory fades, what of ours?" The Stoic therefore lives not for fame but for virtue, for that alone endures. Pain, both physical and emotional, is inescapable. Illness, heartbreak, injury, all visit us eventually. The Stoic does not deny pain, but he refuses to let it define him. Epictetus walked with a crippled leg his whole life, yet taught joy and resilience. Pain is a signal, not a sentence. It reminds us of our limits, but also of our inner power to rise beyond them. Injustice, too, confronts us daily. Corruption, lies, cruelty. The Stoic does not ignore them, but instead of being consumed by rage, he asks, "What is in my control?" He acts with justice where he can, and accepts with courage where he cannot. For Stoicism is not about blind acceptance. It is about wise action guided by reason, not poisoned by hate. The Stoic also redefines success. To the world, success is wealth, power, popularity. To the Stoic, success is self-mastery. You may lose money, but still succeed if you kept your integrity. You may be criticized, but succeed if you stayed honest. True success lies in living with virtue, not in chasing fleeting applause. Patience is another hidden Stoic strength. In a world of instant gratification, the Stoic waits calmly. He knows growth takes time, justice takes time, healing takes time. By practicing patience, he frees himself from the anxiety that consumes others. As Seneca said, "Time heals what reason cannot." The Stoic sees every human as a fellow traveler. He does not judge others harshly, for he knows all are struggling in their own way. The angry man is enslaved by anger, the greedy man by greed, the fearful man by fear. To hate them is foolish, to pity them is wise. Compassion is not weakness but strength, for it requires control over one's own emotions. Imagine living this way in today's turbulent world. When insulted online, you remain calm. When cheated in business, you remain honest. When illness strikes, you remain grateful. When death comes close, you remain unafraid. This is not fantasy. This is the power Stoicism offers if practiced daily. In the end, Stoicism is not about becoming inhuman. It is about becoming more human, deeply, wisely, fully. It does not strip away emotion but purifies it. It does not numb the heart but strengthens it. It does not deny life but embraces it. For the Stoic, every breath is a chance to live rightly, and every moment a chance to stand unshaken.